Okay, Andre, let's dive into this. I think this is a really good topic. So just earlier, we have noticed that there are fewer people on HAR than before, mainly because the interns are actually passing through, right? So one of the things I think is let's talk about this, right? So it's essentially about, let's say, sort of people power management. And the idea of this is the objective.
Why don't we write it on leadership, sir? I'm actually trying to come into the leadership, but since I'm on an online class,
No, 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 that's a great idea. Actually, let's put it there. That's where the discussion belongs. So let's go into this. This is a leadership discussion. Okay. Hey,
on
let's go into discussion management. Okay, great. That's better. Yeah, it's a good idea. That way it stays in one place. Okay, I think there's a few ways to approach this. There's sort of a top down and a bottom up. Okay, so we'll go over kind of like both ways of seeing it. So the the top down method is a little bit like what we just discussed earlier. So what is your strategy essentially, right? Um, okay, so the research topic will be about. Okay. Oh, this thread is getting really heavy now. Let me see how big it is. Not that big, yeah. When you put too much stuff on one paper, it starts getting very slow. So,
yeah, also happen on Instagram paper. A lot of photo there.
yeah, you have to archive. So you take everything from before and you put it on new paper. But all right. So how do we plan enough people for our teams, right? So that's essentially the essence of the question. And in particular, let's deal with the HAR dilemma. Um, HAR is always going to have a dilemma. So the reason for that is because the work is very seasonal, right? The work is seasonal, and also turnover needs to be accounted for. Needs to be accounted for. So I have noticed that the turnover in HR seems to be a little bit more in the particular chapters. One of the particular reasons for that is that HR work perhaps is a little bit less specialized. So it's a little bit more like general work, so people kind of can sort of swing in and swing out. And so to sort of think about that holistically, we need to take that into account. So the work is very seasonal, and there's turnover. So then, what you kind of need is you need a system, right? So you need a systematic approach. Okay, so let's try to figure out where that might be. So um, let me start with this question first. How do you estimate how many people you need?
And let's say five up.
Okay, how do you know you need five?
Based on what I'm thinking is like, yeah, we have one X. So if we pair one people to one buddy, it means that we have one people more to back up the yeah, the other buddy that maybe they,
Okay, one person to one buddy, and plus a spare, right?
yep.
Okay, all right. And then, so okay, that's essentially two buddy sets, right? And then one spare person. Why do you need one person with one buddy to cover?
At least we have one people for yeah, one people to train and to delegate with the daily operational and
Can delegate daily operations and one person to train. Okay. All right. Let me keep asking questions then. So, how many people would you minimally need in order to cover the SLA requirement? So, the response time, all the different things. What is your estimate on that?
if minimal, I would say four. So at least one have one people that pick up them.
Okay. People. Okay. All right. What's the minimum number of people that you would need to cover? Okay, the SLAs. Okay. All right. About four. Okay. But four is never great because I think it creates a sort of a no buffer zone, right? If two people decide to have holiday or if there's any sort of situations. So let's say What's let's go on the opposite side. What's the maximum number of people?
And maximum, I actually don't really think, but maybe we can still have people for maybe 6 or 7. I was thinking for maybe we can separate as well if these people are focusing on, let's say, Facebook. I haven't really think about the plan how strategy to make feel.
Okay,
Uh,
let's explore that. Let's keep on exploring. So, if you had 7 people, where would you put them into? Where would you um, cover them or have them covered?
yeah, we can split actually like from say Facebook on crop listing. Actually, past few days we have a lot of inquiry that coming, and people still have to check on the Airbnb and also have to check on the uh, FB itself, because FB is, on Facebook is we're not only answering but we are also documenting. We also have to check manually on the. It's different. It's actually different. There is a lot of that that we have to do on Facebook.
Okay,
That
understood.
we more work.
Interesting. Okay, all right, that's good. So, okay, if you could get enough people, maybe just people dedicated on Facebook, right? Okay, specialization. All right, let's keep on going. So 7 people. All right. So here's sort of like how I would do this. Whatever you sort of whatever you're looking at, I would start with looking at the SLA first. So I would look at the SLA to see what exactly do I need. The SLA is your end dish. It's the thing that you're going to create. So if you're going to create a dish, you need ingredients and you need the labor to make the dish. So I would start from looking at okay, what are the SLAs that you want to do? So your external SLAs are you need to manage the inquiries, you need to manage the reviews, you need to manage the community support, HR finance report, and the team development. Okay, HR finance report. This one is okay, interesting. My question is this to you: would you want to delegate this to one person on the team?
I think yeah, we can delegate that one to the team just to check.
Ooh, now that's interesting, right? Now, if you can delegate somebody to just do that on the team, um, how would it work exactly? Would it be? Could you envision a way that that could actually make sense, or is it like this person would have to like how would you split up that work?
Focusing on here also still doing the other works, but here if we see that we have also to deal with the payout manually there and also price adjustment there, which is we can track easily. Like if let's say I'm the one who in charge for this, and then I'm just going to check on the trail of direct booking. Let's say that we have new booking, and then I have to tag the HAR people and also finance people that hey we have this, please add this on bigger and something like that
Okay,
on.
great. So if you had somebody to just do this for you, then it means that everybody else wouldn't have to spend so much time doing it, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
We can spare their
so
time.
that's kind of interesting because then that sounds like we have quite a lot of finance people coming in. So maybe what you need is not another HIR person. Maybe what you need is to delegate this to somebody who can maybe work in finance but be embedded in this particular chapter, right? So currently we have this line of thinking that the finance person most okay, so finance is a little bit like between two worlds right now. There's one world of the documentation, and that seems to be done by HAR. So HR documents the guest journey, make sure that everything's okay, and the payouts are, kind of like going the right way. Excuse me. There's another person who sits over. Um, okay, so one thing you got to understand is that the traditional finance role, geeky and risky, what they did, that doesn't exist anymore. So what did that SLA look like? That SLA looked like somebody would just sit there waiting for something to screw up, right? And then go and sort of take care of it when there was a problem, right? Or figure out how to manually pay things. The new line of thinking is this: somebody essentially called a reconciliation specialist, will sit in the community chapter. And all day long, all they do is they make sure that payments went into the right bank accounts proactively. So making sure that that's happened before an owner needs to say anything. So at the end of the week, they will batch together all the different types of errors and alterations, all the pieces of garbage, basically all the weird anomalies, batch that together, and they'll tell the owner that this has happened. Hey, you received a payment that was above what you were supposed to get. Hey, you got deducted a payment that you were supposed to get. So the owners know that we're communicating these issues with them. At a point in the last part of the month, we will settle up, right? All the people who have credits will essentially, will pull the money back and take the money from them. All the people who have debits will pay them back so that we're fully settled up at the end of the month. Okay, so that's like kind of like the process. But one of the things you might think of is, could this person then work between both chapters, right? Could this person also help you guys do the anomaly detection? Which brings me to the question of this, right? So, what is involved in HAR to detect these payment anomalies? These are usually done by reservation people. Is that correct? Okay, so it makes sense that reservation people would be the right people to actually flag these issues, right? Because otherwise, we'd have to, if reservation people didn't do anything, then the finance person would have to go around, bug everyone, say, did you have any anomalies today? Did you have any anomalies today? Did you have an, and that's kind of stupid anyway, right? So the anomalies, I think, do need to be flagged by reservation team, okay? But once those have been flagged, once somebody has said, okay, this is a alteration request, this is a cancellation, this is a cancellation after 2 days of its event, what happens next, Andre?
After we report it to the people that in charge here, sir.
Oh, after let's say the reservation person has to be the person that flags an anomaly, right? Refund, early checkout, late checkout, these situations. So they need to trigger and say, yes, this has happened. After that's happened, then what happens?
Yeah, the things that we need to do is to change. Yeah, to report that actually.
Okay.
Report.
And once it's been reported, then what happens next?
I'm sorry, sir.
Well, what happens next after it's been reported?
Um, what happens next is, yeah, it is it. I mean, if the things that happen is about the early check-in, and then we just have to change the amount, and then it's already there.
I see. Okay, so there's really no way to break this SLA into two groups. You're saying, right? So essentially, the reservation person has to flag it, and then afterwards, that's going to be taken care of by somebody else anyway. But your SLA is to flag these issues. Is that correct? Okay, understood, understood. Okay, so unfortunately, that means, Andre, there's no help here, right? This is still something that your reservation team needs to do. So we can't really delegate it to somebody outside the chapter. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Community support, communication, check-in rate. Wait, I'm confused. 4.8, bad review. Oh, okay. So you're supporting community's SLA, right? By getting okay, communication rate. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so this SLA has to be done in house. That there's nothing that can be done there. This SLA probably has to be done in house too, with the reviews. This SLA, this is the hardest SLA actually, and you're correctly prioritizing. It belongs at the very top. Now, this SLA is a little bit tricky because it's hard. It's hard to do because the expectations on it are massive. You need to get a 15% conversion rate at the moment. And then the skill required to do this is also pretty technical, right? So you're going to have to find a way to actually get more hands on this. Now, you have actually kind of a funny thing going on, which is you have 20 people in the company, and you only have 3 people working on this particular problem, which is one of the most important problems to solve, right? So, in a way, this is what we were talking about last time. Do you want a sort of a short term and a long term solution to this? Okay. So the short term solution to it will probably be like hire and replace. Okay, hire a new person, replaces the next person, hire a new person, replaces the next solution. The long term solution, you kind of need to distribute the culture of leadership for the most difficult SLAs. What do I mean by that? Okay, think of things that are kind of difficult to do. Chairing a meeting traditionally is hard to do. because it requires that somebody understand the entire context of the team. It requires that somebody knows what each thing is happening. But what have we done? We've distributed it. We rotated it so that we don't have a high dependency on one leader. So what if that leader's not there? So everyone's just confused and doesn't know what to do for the week, or how can a leader take a holiday? So we need to kind of like use a different method to distribute it so that at any given point, somebody could potentially be helpful and at least carry on through a not a full time basis, but maybe at least a part time basis. So there's what I think the long term solution is, right? So short term wise, you're always gonna if you hire and replace, you're always gonna have these problems again, right? People are gonna rotate out, whatever is gonna happen. So you need kind of a way to reinforce this so that it's strong. The other thing that let's focus on just the short term solution right now. On the hire and replace, you got to think of how to do this thing. It's called transfer of knowledge and skill. Okay. Now, let me ask you this: who put in the HR request for new HR people, HAR people?
I am, sir. Me take
You did. Okay. When did you put that in?
2 weeks ago, I guess.
Okay, that's your problem, right? Do you see the problem?
Uh,
If you put it in 2 weeks, right, then you do not give yourself the opportunity to create the transfer of knowledge and skill between the person leaving and the person entering, right? Now you're going to have to do it. So, in order to do this, you need to anticipate departures early, right? So you know that it takes about 6 weeks for HR to come up with somebody. So you know also when the interns are about to leave, right? So I would say that if you're going to replace an intern, um, you need to almost start planning at the same time you hire. Almost at the beginning, right? Maybe not that urgent, but okay. I would say like, all right, let's just say you give yourself a little bit more time, right? Let's say as soon as you hire somebody, you should, as soon as you absorb one intern, you should think, I need another intern right away, right? Right away. Why? It's going to take about 6 weeks, whatever, to train and whatnot. It's going to take another 6 weeks to get them in. But what if now, sir? What if the intern trains the other intern? So let's say, okay, you hire an intern today. 6 weeks later, another intern comes in. The first intern trains the second intern, right? And then therefore the knowledge and skills passed over. And then you as a leader don't need to do too much, right? You've already delegated it. What you need to do is you just need to quality check or competency. You don't know if the old intern trained the new intern correctly, but you do know that if you can answer this kind of inquiry at this kind of time, then you can do the job, right? If you know what to do here, you can ask some questions, right? If it's midnight and nobody's here to help you, how would you answer this inquiry? All the hard stuff, all the confusing stuff, all the stuff that makes you frustrated. This needs to, all the hard questions need to go here, okay? And then what's better is actually this. Remember, a lot of what we do in this particular work is not question and answer. It's not really how this isn't a quiz bowl, right? You need some time to observe. And this is what I meant by picking out random sampling, Andre. So you observe, let's say, the new intern who's been trained by the old intern, and you pick out 5 times that they answered an inquiry. And you ask yourself, are these inquiries answered to the correct standard? Have they been answered in time? Did the person give an option? Are they trying to close the deal? All that kind of stuff, right? That would give you sufficient proof that it had been done correctly. It's the same way that you make sure that a bed has been made correctly. You can't check every single inquiry they've done. That wouldn't make any sense. There's just too many. You can't ask them to bring in the inquiries because they'll just show you the ones that did really well. what you do is you pick up some random samples and you say, all right, I picked 3 random samples. You need to pass all 3 in order to be qualified, right? If not, you need to be retrained. So then what happens is this, Andre. Essentially, your interns will be training your next batch of interns, and the next batch of interns will be training the next batch of interns. And then you've now delegated that to them. So you have a continuous now training. You don't need to train anybody, right? You just need to maintain the quality at the end of the day, making yourself a higher level leader too as well. Okay? So that is what you would do in order to optimize your short-term process of hiring or replacing. Now, because you requested Caroline's replacement 2 weeks ago, HR did a really good job. They were able to actually find people within about 2 weeks to fill in Caroline's shoes. But Caroline won't be training these people. You'll be training these people, you see? So think about that next too. You're going to get a new intern again. Think about putting an HR request for a new HR intern again and again and again and again. And you know what? Keep on hiring more interns, right? Interns are a great way for you to understand the system and to perfect this sort of transfer of knowledge and skill. Probably won't get it right on the first time, but eventually you'll probably get it right, and it'll just be beautiful. It'll be intern, trains, intern, and then out the door, out the door, out the door, right? So, okay, that's one way that you can have almost an infinite number of people on your team without having an infinite number of exertion and such, and that's there. I would also try this system. You need to delegate learning to the student, right? So you need to make sure that the student studies. There is materials. Okay, I'll give you an example. Like right now, we have videos, right? I record a lot of the videos, like the video I'm recording right now, but I don't write the title and I don't write the description. I don't do that because it's a wasted opportunity. It's not my job to do it. And plus, an intern who watches this video will understand, right? This process of let's say, managing how to plan for enough people. So guess what? When you, Andre, later on, imagine this tool. You're like, you know what? There's probably somewhere that we've discussed this subject before, right? So you search on the YouTube channel, Bukit Vista, managing having enough people. And boom, there's a video. There's a video with a title and a description on it. And you go, watch this. This is how you understand how to manage this thing. Okay, and then the question is, who would have written the title? Who would have written the description? Intern, right? You give it to the person who you believe needs to learn this, the very first person who needs to learn this. You say, I want you to watch this video. I want you to learn the skill. Okay? In fact, fuck it. You can just give it to any intern, right? Just give it to any intern because that helps build their leadership capability too. Then what you do is you sit in the back, you look at the title, you look at the description, you ask yourself, was that what we actually talked about, right? Does that have enough detail? And then you ask the intern, please write down all your questions in the comment section so that I can understand what you don't understand. And then they'll do it, and then you answer, and guess what? You have spent just minutes training somebody. You've delegated the rest of the training to the video, which is actually pretty elegant if you think about it. You think it doesn't work? It works! So this is what I did last week. So I did this, and let me show you. It's pretty inspirational. So I was doing field work, doing some field canvassing. So I wasn't around to actually spend time with the interns. So what I asked them to do was, why don't you guys watch these videos and then, do an exercise, write the title, write the thing, and let's see how it goes. So this is what they did. Thea wrote the title. She watched the video. She wrote the title. She gave an amazing description. I know she knows what's going on now. And then I asked, do you have any questions or comments? She didn't fill it in, so okay, that's that, right? But if she had any questions like, hey, what's an SLA, or what's a KPI mean, or how do you use this to do that? She has a safe space where she can do it. No pressure. Watch it again if you don't understand, rewind, all that. And then this, for you, then just takes a minute, okay? Once this layer is done, whenever you need to delegate a type of training to somebody, you just look in our video library and look for that, and it'll just appear, right? it appears because the descriptions are very detailed, right? And then it will be able to find it. Okay, good stuff. So that's another thing that another theme. Delegate learning to the student. Use videos. Use Q&A, and get them to really comprehend and understand. Okay, that is how I would go on the hire and replace strategy in terms of getting to work. Okay, long term wise, long term, you're probably going to have to figure out a way, just like what we did with leadership culture. How can we get more people capable of answering inquiries, right? This is probably one of your hardest SLAs to do. It requires, like I said, the most amount of effort, the most amount of training, the most amount of time, right? So you can even make this into a fucking game, actually, if you want. You can make it part of happy hour, right? Where people just go and they answer inquiries and they say, hey, this is the way I would answer it. And you can be the judge of it. You can make it into like some sort of practice thing. So you're probably going to have to find a way to pollinate multiple people to be competent on this. But this will be a shift, but it's okay. We're an innovative company. Pick a chapter that you think would actually be, let's say, necessary to understand inquiries. First one is definitely marketing. Anybody who is creating guest side marketing that doesn't understand the guest experience, doesn't understand what guests are doing, is not going to be very good at marketing. This is my fundamental belief, right? So anybody who I think wants to work in marketing, they should be fundamentally trained in answering inquiries. Okay. The next one is probably business intelligence as well. Business intelligence is based on, as you can see in every campaign, the keystone of turning impressions into of turning inquiries into reservations, right? So if you're going to work in business intelligence, you probably would no, not probably. You'll need to know how that process works. Makes sense, right? Um, Maybe HR. HR is a little bit distant, but okay, maybe HR because HR, if they're going to be hiring people for you, they should kind of experience the work themselves too as well, right? Okay, and definitely community, right? Community should know kind of like what the guests are dealing with and what kind of guests there are out there, so that they can have more productive discussions with owners. Okay, so this then becomes a part of your cooperation, probably with HR, right? The competent people can spell competent correctly, right? So you probably need to cooperate with HR to get this program distributed, right? And guess what? So the good news is this. The good news is that you have actually a lot of people that can start using this program. Remember, the next batch of people, there's 2 people in finance, there's 2 people in HAR, so you should be actually seeing quite a lot of people coming in to do this, okay? We just got to make sure that they follow this program, and then boom, you'll have extra people. Now, why is that good? Now, you have more people doing your night shift, right? You have more people covering the basic reservation duties. They don't need to cover it every day, but you can make it like you cover it once or twice, a week, right? So if you're working in finance, customer support, you cover inquiries once or twice a week. If you're working in community, you cover inquiries once or twice a week, so that you know how it is done. Now, goes back to hiring, replacing, and training. So delegating learning to the student. You don't need to have one-on-one buddies. You can have classes, right? This is the way that I would essentially train more people for a night shift. Have 3 people follow one person to do night shift, right? So these 3 people essentially just answer inquiries wherever they appear, and the night shift person tells them, okay, this is what you got to do. This is not answered correctly. This is answered correctly. Essentially, even better, the night shift person can have night class. They can go and find a bunch of inquiries that a bunch of people answered and just keep them understanding about how that's done. That way, the night shift is done well, but it's also, whatever, right? In case there isn't enough inquiries to keep everyone engaged. Does that make sense? Okay. So I would say you could have a night shift class where essentially the students answer the inquiries and the normal night shift person evaluates. Okay? Once that's been done once or twice, it's exactly like leading, chairing a meeting. Everyone should kind of get the hang of it. And then you'll have a longer rotation. Okay? And then what happens, Andre, is what I'm hoping can happen is that it frees up HAR time. So you guys aren't always so busy, right? You have like more people you can lean into for delegating basic duties to. So it's as simple as this, even. It's as simple as this. Every new hire spends 1 day a week doing HAR stuff. Can you imagine how many more days you'll get back? Right? But how do you make sure that it's done right? They need a bit of supervision, but delegate it to them to learn, delegate it to them to do it. You just quality control, right? So you guys move from essentially doing what you do to delegating more to interns, to new people, and quality control, quality check. Okay? Okay, that's a long term solution. Yes, Andre.
Also think this is actually related to you, sir, as the delegation itself. I think I saw that you're now pretty much now free, right? I think I saw
Yeah,
your
yeah, man. I barely do anything now. You look at my calendar; it's like so.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, you can do the same thing, right? Um, you can if you're good at doing what you do, you should be able to do nothing.
yeah.
Actually, that I mean, I got lucky, right? I have a really good team, but I figured out a few things. We took a long time to figure this out. Remember, Andre, we're sitting in those morning leadership classes. Fundamentally, you needed project visualization. If you don't have project visualization, nobody knows what's going on, right? The other thing is you need to have accountable parties. So somebody needs to be the client. The whole thing we did with funnel structure solved both of those problems, right? It solved, and then funnel structure tied to time blocking solved the third problem, which was time management, making sure that everybody had enough time. What I hear these days is that people aren't that busy anymore. Why? I think being busy doesn't mean being effective. Being busy sometimes just means scrambling around, kind of dealing with bullshit, and feeling like, yeah, I'm really busy, but then not checking the numbers and asking, did I actually accomplish anything? But if we start saying, all right, this 1 hour is made so that I can move this percentage up by 0.5% every day, then it becomes more of like a game. It becomes more like a video game, right? I'm playing to get a higher score. I'm playing to get a higher score. I'm not like in Grand Theft Auto just wandering around the streets. Yeah, I'm busy, robbing cars and doing whatever. I'm going on a mission, right? I have a purpose. I'm trying to get something done. So I might be less busy. I might actually spend less time on the mission than I did wandering and perusing around the gigantic mega city. But it's more structured. If you're doing your job really well, Andre, you should actually feel like you're not too busy, right? The reason why is because you create client-server relationships. You create people who are accountable to other people, and then that creates the need for it's sort of you don't need to be the end person that's accountable for everybody, right? Everyone's not working to make you happy; they're working to make another person on their team happy. So once again, like intern to intern, senior intern trains junior intern. Delegate that task to the senior intern. The junior intern wants to get trained. The senior intern wants to get recognized, wants to have like a Hall of Fame recognition, whatever it might be. Okay, so then you've aligned the incentives correctly. You've delegated that. You quality control. Same like the whole SLAs. The SLAs are quality control that we see every day. How do we know if the training was done well? We don't just say, I spent time training you. That doesn't say shit, right? We have to look at your performance. Can you show, if I pull 2 random samples in the next 2 weeks from your work, will they pass the standard, the internal SLA standard, right? Will you convert 15% of your inquiries, right? If I pull out, let's say, 10 inquiries, 15 inquiries, will you actually get enough of them converted? just like that. So that's actually how you maintain control of that. Okay, I wouldn't be sad if you could bring in 100 interns, Andre. That would show that you're really, really fucking like on top of it, right? That you have excellent leadership skills. If you could manage 100 interns, then great, right? Think of more things to delegate to them. Like think of people who have 100 kids. I mean, not everybody has 100 kids, but very few people. They don't manage all 100 kids on their own, right? They have their one of their kids manages the other kids, and it's sort of just kind of like an ecosystem there. That's the way it's got to be. So yeah, you're right. I'm not too busy anymore because essentially everything has been well delegated. But you know what? The system's already there, Andre. You just train your own successor, right? And you make sure your successor can train their successor, and you can kick back and take credit for all the work, right? So to speak. So anyway, that's what I'd like you to focus on. Thinking about like how you're going to train, you're going to use the energy and not let the energy sort of just evaporate away, right? You're going to use the energy to sort of cycle there. Um, it's all about correct delegation, I think. Correctly delegating who's going to transfer the skill, right? It should never be you. The BB3 was always like the leader would transfer. It should never be you. It should be the video will transfer the knowledge. The intern will study the video. This person will guide them. Try as much as you can to delegate, delegate, delegate. Okay, that's basically how you solve your problems, all your problems. That you keep on putting in more higher requests. I would do that. You know what? I would keep on putting in crazy amounts of intern requests. Like bring me 3 more interns, bring me 5 more interns, whatever. All right. Let the HR program think of ways to deliver that. You think of ways to then get more creative with how you're going to lead all these people within the same amount of time, without doing overtime, without going crazy. Okay. All right. Does that make sense now, Andre? Okay, you're muted.
Yeah, I think it's now how can we actually see. I think it's the important is to delegate itself. So I think the first thing that we need to do. I mean, and also not about that, but also the milestone that, let's say, I was thinking that maybe the first thing that, okay, first month you can be fluent with your reservation, and then now you can be on the campaign level or not only on the private level. I think that
Exactly.
milestone and the delegation is things that yeah, essential for this kind of things that we have here on.
That's right. Give them a pathway. Give them a pathway to go. Not everybody will be able to reach the end of the pathway, right? Some people will probably never get past a few points, but that's okay too. But at the very minimum, let them work on the things that are important for your SLAs to be complete. And that way, you'll always do okay. All right. So this is very theoretical. This is kind of abstract, right? The way I would practically start step one is I would start thinking of what are you going to do to quality check, right? What do you want to delegate to the intern to understand? Just kind of like in the most obvious way to me. Have them watch the videos, have them demonstrate that they understand what to do. If there's any sort of training that needs to be done for inquiry management, think about where you're going to find that training material. It's actually not too hard. The training material is with you all the time. It's all the unconverted inquiries, right? All the unconverted inquiries bring to the intern and say, hey, look, how would you have done this better? Practice, 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 right? And then see what the results are. Come back, say, this is how you should have done this differently. This is what I would have done differently. And then learn, 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 learn. That's how you can delegate the inquiry management without spending too much of your own time, okay? On support, maybe with interactive games, whatever. But most of what they should be doing is, I think, homework, essentially, to get ready for it. Training, 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 training to get to the point where they become inquiry superstars. Okay. Now that's where most of I think your thing is going to go. Once you've covered that SLA well, then start thinking about the other SLAs too. Um, this is, like I said, the most difficult one. Cynthia maybe could use an intern herself. Think about how to actually process more reviews, right? Reviews actually, after all, produce more inquiries anyway. So this is something that's pretty important. But if I were you, I would think about how do I manage this SLA well? How do I create a training program to get people to be able to manage inquiries well? Um, that and how do I support on-site check-ins are really easy right now, if I understand, right? There's not a lot of frequent check-ins, and most check-ins are for long periods of time. So you're not going to need too much focus on that. So spend the time, spend the focus on getting inquiries converted, right? Which is actually already there. Oh wait, which means that you probably should reorder your campaigns like this. Put the inquiry
Oh
optimization.
yeah, based on priority, right, sir?
Okay. What I want you to do now, Andre, is this. You've already come up with an intern onboarding program that you showed me last time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to revise that to emphasize, let's say, training? You know what? You can make it super, super, super duper easy, Andre. Super duper. Even you don't even need to pull the inquiries that haven't been converted. You ask the intern. I want you to go to each profile, gather 20 inquiries that have not been converted, bring it over to this paper, and tell me how you would have tried to convert it differently. All right? And then how long would you need to do that? A day? Great. In one day, we'll check and we'll review. And so they'll spend 6 hours, 7 hours doing that, right? And then you spend maybe just 1 hour coaching them and saying, yes, you should have done this. No, you should have done that. Exactly like that. Huh? Make sense?
I think that's on the exercise time, right, sir? What you call that? On the test week, or you call that?
Good, 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 good. Yeah. Delegate everything. Don't you should be doing almost nothing, right? The more you do, the less capable the people that you're leading can do it. I used to think differently, right? I used to think, oh, I need to do everything. I need, like you're not. You're a leader. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that everybody's on the right course. You don't need to do the work yourself. So by doing the work, oftentimes any part of the work, and I fail on this a lot, right? But by doing that work, you're stealing the opportunity for the person to learn, right? They're not going to be able to learn if you did the work for them. But by sort of directing them to do the work, then you get the right outcome. And don't be afraid to reject candidates that just don't get it, right? If you see that a person can't get it, they don't understand simple instructions, they don't get it, just say, hey, look, we're done here, right? And the reason you got to also be comfortable doing that is because you're going to be investing more time in the development of this person. So at very least, you should be getting some type of benefit out of it, right? Which is less time that you need to worry about doing a particular task. So if that trade isn't balanced, then you're just always going to be putting more time in and it won't be worth it. So the interns, after they finish their trials and everything, actually their trials should be a good time for you to test that. It should be a very good time where you test, is this person going to be able to follow simple instructions and deliver and understand what's going on here, right? And if they can't do it, then better just to like ask for more interns to come in or more candidates to come in before you spend months coaching somebody that you're like not happy with. Okay, so that part I know might be a little bit new, but definitely get more comfortable with that. Okay, okay. After you do that well, that I think will automatically solve your problem. If you do that well, then you will never spend a day worried about not having enough people. You'll never spend a day worried about what's going to happen if this person leaves, right? Because your system is repairing itself all the time and ready to put people into work all the time. Okay? All right. So I'd like you to actually try doing the thing that you said in the beginning. Try to hire 7 people, right? Try to bring 7 people into the team. Get more people than you need. Um, the only way that you're going to learn to do the system is if you have more people, right? Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
We'll do HR request again, sir.
Yes, please. And is that a challenge that you think is before I give challenges to people and overwhelm them? Is that a challenge that you think is within your ZPD to navigate?
Of course, yeah. I think that's on my ZBD, sir. So
Okay, I'm
with
happy.
the internal team that we have first, then they'll be go to the intern.
Excellent. Okay, happy to hear that. Gista will be coming on very soon, and like I said, she will be. Uh, I think it'll be pretty straightforward for her onboarding. Right, she's done 3 months of this work before,
Yep.
last year. So and it's great personality. The way I think Distant was definitely somebody we wanted back. Okay, that's that then. Good luck, and let me know if you have any other questions. I'll be happy to help. Okay,
Thank you for the guidance, sir.
you're
Yeah.
welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for listening. All right, see you, Andre.